Exposure triangle, aperture, ISO, and shutter in about 2 minutes. Starting with aperture. A large aperture or a low aperture number, f1.4, means a large opening. That also means more light's going to come into the photo, into the picture, so it's going to be brighter. Shutter speed. A slow shutter speed is going to allow a lot of light in and going to introduce motion blur, as you can see from this icon. A faster shutter speed, less light, but will freeze the motion. ISO is the sensitivity of the film back in the day of film. That term is also introduced for the sensor on the camera. A low ISO means less light. A high ISO means more light. The darkness of the photo is not the brightness coming in, it's introduction of noise. So let's talk about some scenarios. If you're shooting 100% automatic, the camera will choose all of these settings for you. But I want to get you out of automatic. If you're a beginning photographer and just got your camera, I highly recommend you store your camera in auto so that when you pick it up for a quick photo, hopefully it will be at a setting that you will be able to take a photo. But if you've been playing with some of these settings and you pick up your camera to do a quick snapshot, you may miss that shot because you had the shutter speed down at 1/8 because you were doing something trying to introduce motion blur and you were taking a photo of a child running and this is what they look like. So store your camera in automatic until you've gotten very, very comfortable with these settings. So let's talk about a soccer player, a young 10-year-old child running across the soccer field. You're probably going to want to be in 1/500 for the setting for the soccer player to freeze their motion. I don't want them down here at f1.4 or 5.2 because the focal depth of field is going to be very shallow. So I'm most likely going to want to be in f4 to f5.6 and 1/500. Once you set that up, you'll want to look at where your ISO is to be able to allow enough light in. Set these two on a manual setting with the camera and then adjust the ISO to bring in the amount of light that you need to capture that photo. Another way to do this is to go on shutter priority, leaving both ISO and aperture to be in automatic. The drawback to that is if it decides to do a small aperture, you don't have that control. Full manual is about the only way you can do that. My camera does have an option to set my ISO to manual and set the ISO that I want. So I may set it to 1/1600 or I may set it to 1600 or 800 and then let the aperture automatically be chosen while I'm in shutter priority. So there's a couple settings and we'll maybe dig into those in later videos. But for now, I just want you to practice some of this and with your camera. And if you like my video, you learned anything, and you want to come back for more, please like my video, hit the subscribe button, and thanks for watching Practicing Photography, and now get out there and take some photos.